So without further ado, our final segment before I say thank you and goodbye is with Robin Glasgow. Robin is a wonderful, brilliant, warm person, and she was former Chief Innovation Officer of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts. She's worked at Kaiser. Her bio is like awesome and really well written. So if you want to like know how a bio should be, go check out her bio on our conference website. And I also consider her a friend. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Robin. Woohoo!
We're close. Hello, hello.
So you flew in just to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I have been traveling so much. I literally every morning I open my eyes. Where am I? What time is it? And I go back to the same city again and again and again, and I've gone to the wrong room many times. So and I left Dallas. I'm flying to Arkansas, and there's a more direct route than Boston. And people are like, "Why are you going from Dallas to Boston to Arkansas?" And I said, "Amy, I'm here hanging out with Amy. That's why I'm here." So thanks for having me.
Sorry, and thank you. So we were talking once, and you said, you know what? People run away from wicked problems, from big, scary things, and I want to do the opposite. Like the people in the marathon bombing, when everybody was running away, they were running in the direction of what was going wrong. That was one of the most inspiring things I had heard. I'd love it if you just talk a little bit more about that, like what you meant and how that's kind of guided you, because you went from, head honcho at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts to consulting now.
Yeah. That's silly, isn't it? Who does that? So I've always been that girl that runs towards the fire. And in my work and personally, I've just always been that girl. And from a professional standpoint, I'm a fan of Clay Christensen, any disruptive innovator. Hey, in the house. So he talks about disruptive innovation in that the best place to disrupt is at the bottom of the market. Mm-hmm. Most people are getting in where, I want to be in the Uber Lyft business as well. Mm-hmm. And where disruption happens is where you go where everyone else is not. Mm-hmm. And you have that opportunity to shine. You have that opportunity to maybe get lower margins. And if you're going towards the market for margins, you're probably not in the right business. But going towards that market to find out where the opportunities are, and you have your people that aren't even invited into the conversation. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I've always been the voice of the ones that don't have one. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds a lot like a purpose. And, And I actually asked you that question. So the co-author of one of the books Clayton Christensen wrote, Karen Dillon, she was here keynoting.
Oh, man.
And she was talking about personal purpose and how do you derive satisfaction from the work you do, beyond hygiene factors like salary and title and things like that, but respect and from others, and where do you get your motivation from, and what's your purpose? Like, how do you want to leave this world in a better place than you found it? So I wonder, as you're stepping out on your own, and by the way, I wanted to do a panel of like 5 people who have left health organizations, either for myriad reasons, just to say, okay, why, what happened, and what's happening next, but what's kind of guiding you from a purpose perspective moving forward?
Yeah, I love problems, and that sounds really weird. Whether it's I have $5, I need to figure out how to feed 4 people, or it's I've moved into a new place and I want to figure out how I can pimp out my crib on a budget, or this thing called healthcare, which is just I think very complex and not working for all people. So I find myself just being probably more the chief problem officer, more so, and so my purpose is just, and I don't get, it's not, my personal satisfaction is not necessarily solving the problem, it's helping people get to a place where they can solve the problem, and getting them to unleash their superpower. That's an overused word, but I absolutely believe that everybody in this room has one. If you don't have one, get one. If you don't know what it is, find it. And the best way to find it is actually to ask people who call you all the time, because they're calling you for a reason. I had a really good woman, a really good executive coach was asking me, what's your superpower? I was like, eh. And so she had me do this assignment, and this is going to get deep for a second. She had me do this assignment to interview 5 people. And so you think about when you're picking up a book, you typically might read the reviews. And the reviews say, hey, this helped me to get over X, right? So you help them get over a problem. So what would be your review that the 5 people would say, Robin helped me get over X? And so this is maybe actually 2 years ago. And so I started with 5, and then it got to 3, and then 1 person where we kept having to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And so that's one of the things that she helped me to uncover, of being able to tap into folks to be able to solve their own problems. And I'm like, cool. Why I said it's going to get deep in a minute is because, and I recorded the conversation without telling her, all of them. And I'm not sure if you know this. So this was September of 2017 was the last conversation she and I had. She was 9 months pregnant, gave birth, and died during childbirth. Yeah, sorry, I went deep. But so that was a catalyst for me in many, many different ways. One of there's the problem that I didn't even know existed. I'm going way off topic.
It's all
Problem that I didn't even know existed called maternal mortality, particularly in women of color. And highly educated. She got me to be a pescatarian. She personal trainer on the side. Just in why she was having other kids. She had 2 that were in college. That's a whole other conversation. And so for me, it was like, huh. I had no idea. I've been in this industry for over 26 years. I had no idea in the United States of America in 2017 that this is an issue. And so, so then I didn't know what to do with it. I'm still processing that. And so one of the things that I realized that whatever it is I need to do, I couldn't do it inside of corporate America. And so I took a leap of faith with her as my guide of, this is just not okay. And so my company that I founded, little commercial, it's actually Banbü. There's a typo. B-A-M as in Mary.
Oh, good Lord.
That's okay.
I apologize.
That's okay. No,
Yeah.
I do it all the time. And so we do healthcare consulting as well as investing primarily in women and minority-owned businesses. I'm a woman, I'm a minority, but not just because of that. Sorry for my white brothers in the room, but companies that are founded by women and minorities outperform y'all. So. It's okay to clap. No, I mean, we do, and yet we don't necessarily get the seat at the table. So anyway, and then the third part is a philanthropy arm. So my 2 business partners were all former ex Blue Cross Blue Shield executives. And so the third part was, okay, my friend here, what am I doing with my friend? We each have a passion area. And so for me, I'm all things women's health. Whether it's maternal mortality or domestic violence, those are my 2 main things, but I'm all things women's health, and also mental health and early education and nutrition. So those are our 4 main areas that we focus on. So look us up, Google us. Actually, if someone, because I forgot my phone, could find me on social media so I can have some footage, that'd be great.
We will.
We're new, we're just getting started.
We will. So you're making me think about, first of all, the whole, find your superpower, and you might discover your superpower through asking people that you work with and whose lives you affected, asking them and how you've helped them and things like that. And I'll just tell you, I sort of interviewed people that have worked for you, and they told me that, you're one of the best bosses, and so supporting and respectful and all of this stuff. And I'm like, what does she do? Like, how can we bottle that? Can we train people? But I remember you were on a panel on the finance and insurance side at this conference last year or the year before, and I was talking about, like, what are the big obstacles we need to conquer inside of health organizations? And you were talking about kind of like how to build bridges and bring people along with you. I'm wondering about that, right? Because we're talking a lot about this conference about systems level change. That we need to change the system, and there are so many obstacles, right? And it can become very tiring. So going from strategy at Kaiser Permanente to innovation at Blue Cross Blue Shield to now an Audi, you went from an Innie to an Audi. What is your perspective on the big obstacles, and what can each of us do to overcome them? Because we know that it can become so tiring, right?
Yeah. Wow, there's so many things. So one of the things that I learned as I really became a student of innovation is this whole thing around mindset, and it's something that I always had, but I didn't know what the name of it was. And one of the mindsets that we follow is around going where the love is. I wish I would have started that when I was just starting out, because when you are, whether you're a consultant, whatever your role is, often if there's a problem, they bring someone in to help solve the problem. And usually the person with the problem doesn't want help.
Right.
Often. And so it's interesting with innovation. No one says, I don't want innovation. Everyone wants innovation. Innovation. Except when hey, you actually have to do something. Like, oh wait, no, you mean innovation? No, I'm good. So one of the things that I found is if you go where the love is, it becomes that Wella Boston commercial of they'll tell two friends and they'll tell two friends and they'll tell two friends. But it's a lot easier and smooth of a path if you're going on this journey with someone who wants to ride with you. So that's definitely one of the way to get through an obstacle, is to just start building your tribe of folk who are already on your side, and you get that low-hanging fruit, and they begin to tell your story on your behalf. So that, to me, is the biggest thing, and I saw that happen many times where, the one that just doesn't want to change, or is just the and then, you call those prisoners. And so I just, let them stay locked up in their cage, in their jail cell. But then they wanted to, be released from that. And it's fascinating to see them where they're just like, and then they are like, so tell me about that thing that you wanted. I see it happen again and again. So I think that's definitely one of just going where the love is. The other thing is, and I was talking about this last week on a webcast that I was doing, so sorry for those of you guys who might have been on that. You're going to hear it again. One of the things that I also hear every organization is trying to figure out, how do we get more millennials working for us? Or how do we get more of this or more of that? And what happens is you get them, and then you stick them in the corner. You're not leveraging and unleashing the power of, why do you want a millennial? Just to have like a millennial mascot? Why do you want a millennial? Or why do you want, we need more females, we need more people of color. And then what happens is, you go look on, everyone has a diversity and inclusion tab, and they say, look, we're representative of our members or our customers and our board and our this and our that. And then you go over to their organization and it doesn't reflect. So whatever it is, millennial, or we want more women, or we want more people, we want more of this, that, and the other, and yet it's not trickling up. And this, shouldn't come to a surprise to those who know me. It is our job to continue to be that voice. If you are one of those folks sitting in the room who has a comma after your name, so whether that's a title, a degree, it is all of our duties to continue to have that conversation. So, and how that plays out for me anyway has been, as a female, and I'm sure some of you guys can relate to this. As a female, when I was starting out in my career, I would have to kind of make sure I was viewed as one of the guys. So I wouldn't. Any women's health
I don't know
issues.
what you're talking about, Robin.
Those women. I don't know what those women are talking about, and I love sports, so I'm going to be one of the guys. And I wasn't that champion early in my career for women. As a person of color, you're always sitting there, you're often the only one in the room, and it's you wanting to prove that you deserve to be there. So you do say or not say or do certain things. And so I think, for those obstacles, to me, it's a bit of the other mindset is around show, don't tell. And so show in terms of finding those people that are going to, where you're going to have that success, and they will tell your story and show your story, as well as, we've got to continue to act. We have to continue to be that voice for change, or it's not going to happen. And there will always be those folks that are just the department of no, and that's okay. But when you start surrounding them with people who are leaned in, and I have to tell you, because I have been this way for most of the time that I've known me, but one of the things, and even in terms of how I view healthcare and my views around healthcare, and it needs to be disrupted, and it could cost less, and all these kind of things, and people would look at me, and particularly Kaiser Permanente people, hey, looked at me like I was crazy, and there was no one that would be nodding their heads, no one that agreed that we could make change, and then over time, and this was probably 15 years ago, and so 10 years ago, there were more people that were like, yeah. 5 years ago, more people that were like, yeah. And now there's people like, hell yeah, where have you been? And it's not like, it's not anything I'm doing. I think it's we all are finding each other, and at some point, good work wins out. At some point, the voices just become too loud to ignore. You think of any innovation, any change in our country, it's because people have spoken out and have been the power of good. That works in any setting, is my belief, because I've seen it happen.
I love it. Yeah, so I
feel
mentioned.
like I'm being preachy.
That's all right. That's all right.
Pulpit or something.
But I think I mentioned in my opening yesterday that many people who are hired by health organizations who say, like, yes, we need innovation, yes, we need change, they get hired into those organizations, and then it's like the antibodies attack, and they end up being rejected by those organizations, or they're kind of tired of banging their heads against the wall, and they're like, okay, would we be better suited somewhere else? And also, there's the whole thing where, can we help this organization get better incrementally? Can we, over time, get people nodding and saying, yeah, but how do you know, do you have any advice around how you know when I can make change? And is there a process of, when do I know, should I stay or should I go? It's really a reflective exercise. It kind of gets back to where we were yesterday with Karen, but I'm just wondering if you have any advice around that.
And it's, as someone who just left corporate America, it is that whole thing. So back at Kaiser, we called it Kaiserized. And, blues, you call it blue nice. Everyone has their own lingo where someone has turned to the dark side. So, the new person comes in with all these great ideas, and then the antibodies just attack, and they become now part of the. And so that was never I'm not built that way, so that just never was my thing, but I've seen it happen again and again and again and again. One of the things that one of my mentors had me do, and I've hacked it over time, it all centers around how do you match your passion with what your work is, and to me, when that happens, it's magic. It's magic. It's contagious, and to me, it reveals the solution for you. And so it literally, and I probably share this at least once a week these days, which is my phone's ringing off the hook from Blue Cross Blue Shield people. Sorry, I hope this ain't wrong. So it's really cool actually, and I haven't done this in a while, and I need to do it again. And it's grab a glass of wine or your favorite glass of whatever, and you sit down and you draw, the 4 quadrants. And it's, what am I good at? What am I awful at? What am I strong at? And what am I not so strong at? Because there's some things, did I just say the same thing 4 times?
No,
What am I good at? What am I not good at? What do I like to do? What do I don't like to do? Sorry. So there's some times where you're really good at something, but you don't like to do it. Like I almost was a math major, but I hate anything having to do with numbers, anything, but I'm good at it, and people call me to do that. Or things that I'm really passionate about. I love basketball, and people have always assumed that I can play. I have a daughter who played, but me with a basketball is ridiculous. But I have passion for it. I'm not good at it. And the first time you do it, it's literally you should finish the exercise before you finish your glass, because it's top of mind. Time yourself, spend no more than like 5 minutes, and go away. And you come back 2 days later, and you do the same exercise and spend maybe 15 minutes and go away. And then you come back a week later and you spend time with it, because it's things that are when I last did this, things I love: college football, basketball, the Lakers. Sorry, there's no boundaries on it. You don't want to say it's not. I love to project manage, and it's the things that are passionate. And what happens is, and then go back to your folks that you want to. That you're going to interview, and ask them, how would you fill this out? And it happens for me. You start seeing some themes. You get those matched with your folk, and at some point, then once you have like wow, and is that wow happening where you're at? And for me, it wasn't. And my catalyst was my main catalyst was my friend, but there was other things that just drove me to my wow wasn't happening there, and it was just time, and it's scary. I like income, steady income. That's kind of a cool thing. Yeah. But no pain, no gain, and I'm not in it for the income, although I do like to eat. It's more so that in my core, I really want to change healthcare. I fell into it on accident. I stayed because it is passion and purpose for me.
I love it. So along those lines, what's your dream project? Like what, if the project like landed, what would it look like? What would you be doing? Because you're the overlap of, strategy and innovation and charisma and all those good things. But what would it look like? What would it be doing?
That is literally the hardest question ever. And it would change. My dream job would be on the team that cured cancer. That would be dope. It changes. It really just it changes. I would have to say it would be on. I like connecting with people, and so whatever job, and I think I'm in it now, so this might be it. Whatever job, but then whatever project that I would then apply that dream to, is really around seeing that light that switches. If you have kids, that light that switches when they get it, that light that switches when you see that pivot point. So it's not a one thing. It's just anytime I see that, boop, that light just turn on, flicker on, switch. My work here is done. My work here is done. There's a long list of things that I am on my list of things I'm not good at. Once you find that superpower and I can apply it every day or most days, that's amazing.
So every time I talk to you, I walk away feeling like happy and energized and inspired. Like, how do you stay, focused or stay inspired? Like what's your approach there? Do you have any mantras? Like, what do you do?
My memory is so bad. If I had a mantra, I couldn't remember it. But there are. It's really about my tribe. And I don't see you every day, but I know you're out there. When I was in that place of I'm ready to make a change, you were, in my Fab Five of people that I called, and I get fed by you. I mean, it's finding those people that just are supporters of you, challenge you, push you, and so for me, it's the people. I am. People find it hard to believe I'm very much an introvert. I know. But when I'm around in small settings, I love the small setting and having those interactions with folks. I love it. So that's one. It's the people. Two, it's Camus, wine. I love wine. I lived in the Bay Area for 10 years. I love wine, and I'm sorry, it's good. I actually lie to my doctor all the time. You know, how many glasses of wine do you have at night? I know the right answer. Anyway, but I should not be promoting that. It's true.
Cocktail hour was last night.
Dang it. No, so it's people, it's wine, and it's really. I will say this. So so how I lead and is how I like to be led, which is I tell people these three things, which is first, do no harm. And it's stolen from any clinicians that they're there for good. I use my powers for good. I never use them for evil. And I always make sure when I'm meeting someone here, I usually don't have a dog in the fight. And so I'm here, I'm wearing whatever jersey you're wearing, I'm wearing it too. The problem's over there, come on over here and let's go at it. So first, do no harm. Second, break no law. So I saw the slide with the jail thing. I like orange, but not like that. And it's not break no rule. I'm down for breaking rules, but break no law. So again, first, do no harm. Second, break no law. And the third, I'm stealing from someone that I just learned a couple weeks ago, which is proceed until apprehended. And so I used to tell my team on the innovation team at Blue Cross, act as if, because it's in an innovation world, you're supposed to be on the edge and pushing people. There are times I'm walking into the traditional meeting and someone's slipping me a note saying, can you say this? It's the exact same thing, but if I say it with I'm the innovation girl, so I can get away with saying this, versus the finance person saying it. And so I would always tell people just to act as if you have permission, because I know you're not going to do any harm. I know you're not going to break any laws. And so just proceed until apprehended.
Woo! All right, that's a good way to close. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Please let Robin know. Yeah.